You may remember me waxing lyrical about my concern for Helldivers 2 against other alien and sci-fi blasters. After playing it, the concern doesn't really need to sit with Helldivers 2. It's all the other blasters that need to start worrying. This game's amazing. I am Couch Coop.
Enemy patrol, west. Heavy, on my position. Requesting orbital strike. My leg!
Man, I can't believe we're actually gonna become Helldivers.
I suppose we should start at the beginning, and I was shocked to see a couple of vision options with the performance and quality. I obviously went for quality first off, wanted to see how long I could cope with it, and I was very impressed with the crisp resolution. The frames were a little bit offset from the get-go, and I was waiting to see how busy it got. The tutorial, early game stuff, not really going to push that performance, I don't think, and the game does look incredible. We will get to that in a second. You saw my little synopsis of the different planets. They're very cool looking, much cooler than I imagined, and a lot better looking than I saw on a lot of the demo reels. This is strictly Steam and PlayStation 5 only, and for the cost, which is £35 British, the look of the game and its size, we've got quite a detailed roadmap and new stuff being added, it's totally worth that dollar. So the quality mode pushes on 4K as a resolution, and it doesn't really hit 30 frames per second all the time. I'll take you into some combat with it. What annoys me is the animations on dissipation is one of the more noticeable things, and that's potentially one of my favourite things about the whole game. But there is some good news on that front coming up, and I switched it out to performance mode, and I will give you a shout when that happens. I just really want to show you how potentially pretty this game can look. Very Titanfall-esque intro here, and it didn't dawn on me that they are very bullet shaped, and you do kind of revolver style firing pin mechanism inside the ship get into. This is me kind of clapping eyes on the planet for the first time, still in that quality mode here, and I'm very happy with what I'm seeing. This game has done extremely well with its visuals. They really do pop, and they're very recognizable. So this is where I'm like, okay, if it got any busier than this, which I guarantee 300% it will, I'm not going to be too happy with the performance. Some of you who are running this on PC may not have seen this quality mode on the PlayStation 5 before, because most of the material I've seen is the performance, and it does default to performance. Some people may not have even looked in that menu system at all. I also tried to solo the game for as long as I could. You can proactively invite people, and in these lower ranked matches, no one joined on my options sort of lobby menu, which is what's happening now. I'm getting frequented with people all the time. Not a bad thing at all. If you watched my previous video on Helldivers 2, you would have heard me moan about the fact that it's pay to play, meaning you need the PlayStation access to get the game to run, and there's no sort of like offline little cheeky horde mode in there. I think we're going to get that in the long run.
How about a nice cup of liberty?
Early planets for me tended to be all at night as well. I have noticed a daytime system on the drop in menu when you're looking at a planet itself. It will tell you if it's day or evening, and I've not been fortunate enough to see the transition. Later on, the time of day switches around everywhere, and this game looks glorious in the full-blown daylight. It's just strange that it doesn't go off all cylinders with the graphics, with these misty, very dark planets, but it's kind of part of the intrigue, I think. Helldivers 1 used to have these like research point things knocking around in the map, so it was an idea to sort of proactively look around. There's a lot more loot in this game than the previous. It's very cool. You might even find a high-end gun that you can use during that particular mission. Totally worth your time looking at these installations, and I'm very pleased that they haven't made it barren as hell. So my soloing stint lasted to about level 4 to 5. I then proactively started looking for games and putting down beacons after that. Look at this maneuver. These things stay still when you're firing at them. I'm like, they're going to move forward past my orbital strike, so if I fire at them, we'll just keep them still. Helldivers 1 also had an awesome alarm system that came from the enemies in the form of smoke, and it was a flare for the robot dudes. It's so dark seeing them like push out this mist that goes around and causes them to come out of the ground. That's another thing. There's these breach alerts, which means a huge pocket of them can just pop out of anywhere at any given time. That brings me on to their redesign. I really love it. On Helldivers 1, they look like upright lobsters, and it wasn't that well detailed with the smaller stuff. The bigger hulking guys were really cool. The Chargers, they've almost got like a crustacean-y Geiger look to them, and at the same time they've encompassed that walk on the spiked legs arachnid insect look that we saw in Starship Troopers. So loads of bases covered and a really cool refreshing new look to that enemy set. And that's really super important because you are lumbered with these guys for quite a few hours before venturing over to the automotive section of the planetary war map, and also different species doing different things. There's certain flying looking ones with like larger webbed sections that are just terrifying. So again, there's some similarities with Helldivers 1. There is a little bit of stamina management. If you're caught without being able to run and during a reload, some of these quicker bugs will just knock you down and end your day. And that's one of the main ways I've seen people go, is you not realizing that you can't get away quick enough, and if you're stuck on a reload cycle, it is over. Because there is no permanent minimap, so to speak, it really pays to keep attention to your surroundings visually as opposed to just looking for a red dot that's coming up behind you. We will get to this amazing map system in a second. You are seeing me getting knocked back. So at about level 3.5, I'm like, alright, let's just see what's out there, and I'm currently getting quite a few error messages. The game has been patched, and the only issues I'm really noticing seem to be consistent with overpopularity on the server front. Sometimes it works for hours, not a single problem, and then you'll have a few minutes of nonsense. So I think that will just get ironed out. It is very popular, and I do have crossplay on, which I think helps procure more games because you've got a bigger player base to draw from. So that was me, solo in a Charger. I was trapped up this like hill, and then I've died from fall damage, which is a thing, but after my death, my ordnance slammed him in the head and I got objective complete. Loads of amazing stuff happens to you like that all the time when you try and do things on your own. I would not recommend it anywhere near any of the medium modes. It will just not be fun. Also, back to my solo rant, you could just put the game on private and not invite anybody into your lobby from your friends list. That is another way to make sure you're not invaded, in inverted commas.
Democracy! Extraction complete.
Okay, let's have a little look at that multiplayer. Now, hand on heart, I've put about 11 to 10 hours in this game, and 7 of those have been online, and I haven't had a friendly fire shot at me once. I've slung a few at other people by accident, but that is a really good thing, and I just am glad. I just think I have a low opinion of online gamers, but no one would invest in this game and just behave like that. Everybody is behind this awesome title, which is a really cool feeling.
A nice cup of liberty! That's empty!
So the Helldivers team have always sort of injected quite a lot of orienteering in their gaming. It's quite a cool angle of map work with dropping into a location that's either near an objective or away from a big group of enemies. But even cooler, you can do it during game and pin things, bring it up, and you're actually using the freehand cursor on the black section of pad to move around that map whilst running, or even putting a stratagem out in game. It's a very user-friendly system, and I think a lot more multiplayer games should use it, because pinning stuff in major distance, or if there's a lot of targets on map, you can almost do a vote system. Just before things get super crazy and you look at 4-player gameplay, there was some really cool sort of duos action going on with some of the mission structures that I had with a player last night, and it was rescuing people from these houses. They were having to get to a particular point. There's not a lot of repeat on some of the minor tasks that you're doing on the planets. It's pretty varied on that front, and that's very much a good angle. It definitely keeps you guessing about what on earth you've got to do on the next drop-in.
Oh, somebody jumped in. Somebody just joined.
Allied destroyer has joined squadron.
Oh, yeah. 2 other people.
There is also some connective lines between Helldivers 1 and 2 with the map types. Not too sure with the planet names, they may even be identical, wouldn't surprise me if not. It's been very good seeing the little Easter eggs, nods and references to their base game original, and it is spectacular looking in places. The Dune planet has got a mist that comes in that sometimes clears. You can't see down the line if you're just going to walk into a massive ambush. Very good stuff with the environmentals. Wasn't at all aware they were even going to explore that angle. It's also great jumping in with a bunch of experienced players. Everyone gets their stratagems out early doors and you get kitted out, and you always do sort of sub-objectives and then go for the final stuff at the end. You are timed, but it's just not that strict. You have quite a loose rein on exploring sometimes quite huge maps. There's no environmental hazards as of yet. You do get slowed and there are like puffballs that will stop your vision. Helldivers 1 had full-blown volcanoes that set you on fire and killed you if you ventured anywhere near. This is a little bit leaner on that front, but still there's sci-fi games out there that look on par with this, and this is not even trying to flex as a sci-fi environment game.
Lookout post spotted. Prepare to exterminate. Requesting sentry. Ending in an eagle.
This is that Arrakis planet when it's not draped in mist and fog, and there are just huge structures everywhere. You are aware of the massive difference in both visual change and of course the dangers of having fog right in front of you. Every mission will come with its own tiny horde mode at the end when you go for the extraction, and it's your call when you want to bring it on, as long as you get it done within the timer. Some of the tension and the fact that you get to use all of your stratagems in one go doesn't matter because you're leaving absolutely a phenomenal piece of crescendo gameplay. And it was also very good in Helldivers 1. The music plucks up, things get very urgent, there's a bit of friendly fire. I think it's probably time to talk about the robots. Deep down, I was thinking nothing's going to beat the Terminids. They are awesome, and they're probably my favourite foe to be gunning down at the moment. Oh my god, the crazy stuff that comes out of the hellscape that is fighting these things. It is like the intro to Terminator 1. They are very more projectile heavy, and it's the first time you have to notice what you're standing near because you'll need to get behind it, and their armor is a lot tougher. You won't even get damage on the front of a lot of the stuff that's coming towards you. They're quicker, they use rocket launchers for insta-kills, and that doesn't even cover like the Dreadnought style massive ones. What an incredible race. I cannot believe we're going to get one more.
Throwing grenade! Reloading!
Some of their death animations are incredible. They're still going on the ground loads, and you have to go for the legs. They'll also be in packs that are coordinated like old school Halo, like ranked, you know, the big ones at the front, and then you get the little scuttlers coming out. As you can tell, this is the most excited I've been about a video game sort of relaunch with a different format since Monster Hunter World. That's safe to say, 2018. This is absolutely incredible, and it's head and shoulders above loads in its genre currently. The stomach stuff, which is blatantly out of Resident Evil 6, all lying on your back and still being able to shoot, and having that sort of two-tone aim structure is very Killzone 1. Base level structure is obviously wrapped around having 4 people play with you, but it's still excellent with less than that. Totally not recommended on your own just yet, unless they do some tweaking or maybe add a different mode. But why would you bother when co-op is this strong. It seriously is going to go on the got you pile already, and it's only February. It also doesn't revolve around its micros as a model. There is this cool shop and there is unlocks, but the points that reflect that are all about how much you get done in the map and sub-objectives combined with your main. So it's really cool that it pushes that exploration because it directly affects the rewards that you receive at the end of each mission, which will result in a cool new gun unlocking or ranking up and getting you new stratagems, which is really what you want. Where's the tank? I really didn't think the co-op or base game would be this good, so that was why I was decidedly paranoid that without single player content and of course that DRM pay system, that it was going to be something that wasn't strong enough to invest in purely on an online co-op level. But the good news is, holy moly, mother of God, Helldivers 2 is my favourite game by a long stretch for 2024, and Arrowhead have very much stepped up to the plate. 9 years and no local co-op, it doesn't matter, because Helldivers 2 is a phenomenal piece of software.
Reloading!
With that being said, it will stay as a staple on the channel, like the aforementioned Monster Hunter World. I'll keep an eye on the patches, a little bit like Cyberpunk, all of the new content that's put in. If it's small or major, I'll make sure you guys know about it. And what a win for us bug hunters. I never thought my channel slogan would be applicable as it is today. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you down there.